From the beautiful province of Newfoundland, it's the July edition of the Games O Canada. Hello, everybody. I'm Marc Power. On my vacation here, taking life easy, back in the town where I was born, seeing my family and friends, and feeling nostalgic when it comes to this month's show. Growing up in this province, I fell in love with game shows ever since the day I was born. My mom seems to think it was the sound effects of Wheel of Fortune or the futuristic look of Jeopardy! Whatever it was, I loved game shows ever since day one. So with that in mind, I remembered one particular show that was produced here in Newfoundland, and I was shocked to find a couple episodes on YouTube. So won't you join me now for a nostalgic trip as we look back at Newfoundland's High School Quiz Bowl, Trivia Plus.
It's time to test your knowledge of trivia. Along with Newfoundland's best high school students, it's time for Trivia Plus. And now let's meet tonight's contestants. And now, please welcome the host of Trivia Plus, Susan Bonnell.
Thanks, Bill, and welcome to the Central Regional Finals of Trivia Plus, the game show that tests the knowledge of high school students province-wide. Each of these two teams from our Central region is competing for the right in this game to represent their school in our Trivia Plus Finals, which will be held later this year in St. John's. Each member of the championship team will receive a $1,000 scholarship, compliments of Cable Atlantic.
Trivia Plus was a public access game show that aired on the Cable Atlantic stations in Newfoundland. Cable Atlantic, a low-powered network that had affiliates in the province's four largest markets, St. John's, Corner Brook, Gander, and Grand Falls, Windsor. Originally the show was produced in Grand Falls, Windsor, but taping later moved to St. John's. Those stations were all owned and operated by lawyer and businessman Danny Williams, and are still in operation today, but are now owned by Rogers Cable, with Williams having sold Cable Atlantic to them in 2000 to pursue his political career. The show is essentially a high school quiz bowl, consisting of an invitational tournament featuring students from many high schools between those areas. The host is Susan Bonnell, who not only hosted the show, but was also head researcher, designed the original set, and co-produced the show. Given the small budget, the set and production aspects are pretty typical of public access, but they got better with time. As a host, Susan really lacks. She does keep the game moving well, but she's very robotic, and many times she looks bored, and almost as if she would rather be doing anything else. The format's pretty simple. Two teams of two play, each representing a different school. Teams alternate choosing a letter in the words Trivia Plus. Behind each letter is a category containing 8 toss-up questions worth 10 points, or minus 10 for a wrong answer. 2 of the letters have a trigger category. The trigger categories contain 2 sets of 4 questions, which each team will receive unopposed. Susan reveals the category, and the team in control has the choice to either play the first set or pass it to their opponents and play the second set. Once all 10 letters have been played, the game concludes with a 90-second speed round, with questions worth plus or minus 10 points. If there's a tie after this round, a 30-second speed round is played, and if a tie persists, more 30-second speed rounds are played until the tie is broken. The team with the high score moves on to the next round, the tournament. All players receiving a package of Trivia Plus / Cable Atlantic swag, third and fourth place teams receiving an attache case and pen set. Both finalists receive a plaque for their school and played in the championship game, which was always played in St. John's. The runners-up each receive a $500 scholarship, while the champions receive the Trivia Plus Trophy of Knowledge for their school, and each individual player receives a $1,000 scholarship. So for a public access show with a limited audience, this is actually a pretty generous prize budget. Okay, so it did set the world on fire, but it wasn't meant to. It was just a public access show and a way for kids to get scholarship money. Not a great show by any means, but it was functional. And I was kind of bummed that by the time I was in high school, the show was long gone, because I would have loved to have been on it. Now, I mentioned Danny Williams at the beginning of this episode. What happened to him, you ask? Well, he went into politics and eventually became the Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador in 2003. After a rocky start, he had a very successful run as Premier, successfully negotiating deals with the federal government to revise the Atlantic Accord, and developed a plan for the Hebron oil field, generating billions in oil revenue. He also famously appeared on Larry King Live to debate the infamous Newfoundland seal hunt with Paul McCartney and his then wife, Heather Mills. He retired from politics for health reasons in 2010, with an unheard of 80% approval rate at the time of his retirement. But even after retirement, he's had success, bringing AHL hockey back to the province with the St. John's Ice Caps, who were the then affiliate to the NHL's Winnipeg Jets. After 4 years, the Jets moved the team, claiming travel to and from Newfoundland was too costly and logistically difficult. But Williams' group quickly managed to get the Montreal Canadiens AHL affiliate, the Hamilton Bulldogs, to move to St. John's on an agreement that lasted 2 years before they were moved to Laval, Quebec. Of course, minor league hockey returns to the province this year with the Newfoundland Growlers of the ECHL, who won the Kelly Cup, becoming the first-year team to do so in nearly 30 years, and the first Canadian team to win the Cup. But Williams isn't involved with that organization. Susan Bonnell now works in communications with the Newfoundland provincial government. I did find her on Facebook and reached out to her hoping to ask her a few questions when I was doing this, but as of this recording, she hasn't gotten back to me. So there you have it. It was just a little public access show, and it's just a nostalgic trip for me. But it's a functional show, and once again it proves that you can make a show work even if you have a limited budget. And speaking of limited budgets, that'll be a key part of our next show on the Game Show Canada, as we look back at, guess what? A low-budget show that was an attempt at a second hit from the producers of Definition and redemption for its host. Until next time, I'm Marc Power, on behalf of all of us at Game Show Garbage. From Newfoundland, long may your big jib draw.